The small birthday cake sat untouched. Candles flickered in silence. No guests, no gifts. Just a paralyzed mother staring at her reflection in the bakery window. She tried to smile for her son's sake, but when he asked if anyone was coming, her lips trembled. Then, out of nowhere, a stranger's voice cut through the loneliness. "Can we join you?" Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this. Let's begin. The bakery was half empty that afternoon. Rain threatened to spill outside, casting a gray sheen over the streets of Asheville, North Carolina. Inside, a young boy sat beside his wheelchair-bound mother at a corner table. 2 paper hats, a small cake with 7 candles, and not a single guest in sight. A waitress kept glancing over, sympathy thick in her eyes. "Mom," said the boy, nudging her arm, "did you invite Uncle Brian?" Ellie gave a gentle smile. "He's probably busy, sweetheart." Truth was, Brian had ghosted them months ago. Paralyzed from the waist down in a car accident 2 years prior, Ellie Richards had watched her old life unravel like threads. Her husband left. Her job vanished. Friends stopped calling. And today, on her 32nd birthday, it felt like the world had quietly agreed she no longer mattered. But her son, Jacob, 7, bright-eyed, hopeful, refused to see the loneliness. To him, this table, this cake, this moment was magical. She reached for the knife. Her hands trembled. "Ready to make a wish?" "Only if you go first." Before she could answer, a man's voice asked softly behind her, "Do you mind if we sit?" She turned, and her breath caught. A man, early 30s, holding a small tray and wearing a slightly crooked smile. His daughter, maybe 5, hid behind his leg, peeking out with big green eyes. "We didn't want to interrupt," he added, but she saw the candles and asked if we could join the party. Ellie stared. Her eyes blinked fast. He noticed the wheelchair, didn't flinch, didn't pity her. He just stood there, calm, respectful. Jacob leaned in. "You can sit. It's Mom's birthday." The man chuckled. "Happy birthday, ma'am. I'm Daniel. This little rascal is Lily." Ellie swallowed a lump. "Ellie, and this is Jacob." Jacob held out his hand like a miniature gentleman. "Hi, I'm 7. Today." "Then we're celebrating double birthdays," Daniel said, pulling up a chair without waiting for more approval. "Because Lily just started kindergarten today." Lily grinned, climbing up beside Jacob. Within minutes, laughter erupted at that small corner table. Jacob and Lily bonded over frosting smears and crayon drawings. Daniel helped Ellie slice the cake, gently offering to hold the plate steady when her hands faltered. He didn't ask why she was in the chair. He didn't look for a sad story. Instead, he asked about Jacob's favorite, superheroes, and told them how he once mistook glitter glue for toothpaste during a tired morning rush. Ellie found herself laughing, a real laugh. Not forced, not polite. When the waitress came over, she glanced at Daniel, then back at Ellie, whispering, "You okay, hon?" Ellie nodded. More than okay. Later that evening, after the last crumbs of cake had disappeared and the sun dipped behind the clouds, the little corner table still buzzed with life. Crayons rolled off the edge. Napkins were crumpled with frosting stains. And for the first time in years, Ellie felt something she hadn't dared to hope for. Seen. Daniel sipped his lukewarm coffee, one arm resting protectively across Lily's chair as she leaned into Jacob's joke about a super spy sandwich. His eyes found Ellie's. "You sure you're okay with us crashing the party?" Ellie hesitated. "Honestly, why would you sit with us?" Daniel leaned back, expression softening. Because no one deserves to sit alone on their birthday, especially not someone who looks like she's been holding the weight of the world and still finds the strength to smile for her son. Her throat tightened. "You don't even know me." "Maybe not," he said, "but I know that look." What look? The one people wear when they've been abandoned, but still get up and show up for someone they love. Ellie looked down at her trembling fingers. "You a therapist or something?" Daniel laughed. "Marine. Well, former." "Explains the posture." She smiled. He nodded. "Got honorably discharged 2 years ago. Life's been a mess since. Lily's mom passed away during the pandemic. Everything changed overnight. I became full-time dad, full-time mechanic, and part-time magician trying to make ends meet." Ellie's face softened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," he said. "Pain's a strange thing. It breaks us, yeah. But sometimes it makes us clearer." Her eyes glistened. "You're not like most people." He glanced at Jacob, who was now showing Lily how to fold a napkin into a spaceship. "Neither are you." Then, as if drawn by fate, Lily reached over and tucked a yellow crayon into Ellie's hand. "You forgot to draw," she said, smiling. Ellie laughed through a tear. She bent over a napkin and began sketching a heart. "I'm really bad at this." "No," Lily whispered. "You're trying. That's good." A silence fell between the adults. Not awkward, not tense, just full of unsaid stories. Daniel broke it. "Look, I know this is forward, but Jacob mentioned you used to be a designer?" Ellie blinked. "Yeah, graphic design, before the accident." "Ever thought about freelancing again?" She chuckled bitterly. "Hard to pitch clients when you can't even get into most buildings." Daniel tilted his head. "That's where people like me come in." "What do you mean?" "I manage a small veteran-owned garage. Been wanting to expand into digital marketing, build a stronger online presence, maybe even a storefront someday. But I suck at visuals. You've got talent. And heart. That's rare." Ellie stared. "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering you dignity. You deserve more than surviving." For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then Jacob looked up. "Mom, does this mean you'll have a job again?" She turned to him. "Maybe, baby, maybe." Daniel stood, helping Lily down. "Come by tomorrow. Just to chat, no pressure." "Where?" "Lincoln and 4th. Red door. Can't miss it." He pulled out his wallet and dropped a business card in front of her. Then he nodded gently. "Happy birthday, Ellie." And with that, he walked out into the night, his daughter skipping beside him, leaving behind a flickering candle, 2 empty chairs, and a woman who had no idea that her life had just begun again. Ellie stared at the business card long after Daniel and Lily had left. Guardian Auto and Repairs, Daniel Carter, owner and lead mechanic. The edges were worn, the ink slightly smudged, but the sincerity behind it felt stronger than any polished resume she'd ever seen. Jacob leaned into her lap, rubbing his eyes. "He's nice. I like them." She kissed the top of his head. "Me too." By morning, the rain had dried. Ellie rolled into the small garage at Lincoln and 4th just after 10 a.m. Nerves coiled in her chest. She wore a charcoal gray hoodie and light makeup for the first time in months. A man at the front desk looked up. "You must be Ellie." She froze. "How did you know?" He grinned. "Boss said we'd have company today. Told us to look out for a woman with kindness in her eyes and a storm in her chest." Her breath caught. "Office is through there," he added, pointing to a side door. "He's been cleaning since 8 a.m. Ellie wheeled forward, hands trembling slightly as she pushed open the office door. Daniel stood there, wiping grease off his hands, the sleeves of his flannel rolled up to his elbows. A laptop sat open beside a coffee and a half-eaten banana. "You came," he said, like he truly didn't expect her to. She smiled. "You invited me. Didn't mean to scare you off." "You didn't. You gave me something I haven't had in a while. Hope." Daniel motioned to a chair beside the desk. "Sit. Let me show you something." She parked her wheelchair beside the desk as he turned the laptop around. It displayed a rough mock-up of a website, a clunky, outdated mess with stock photos and Comic Sans headlines. "I built this after watching 15 YouTube tutorials and drinking far too much Red Bull," he admitted. Ellie couldn't help but chuckle. "This is a crime against design. I told you I needed help." She looked at the layout. "I could rebuild this, but I can't promise quick turnarounds. Some days I'm slower than others." He nodded. "I don't care about speed. I care about showing people who we really are, not just some garage. We're a place that fixes more than cars." She looked up at him. "You realize this is more than a job offer, right?" "Yeah," he said quietly. "I'm offering a seat at the table again." Over the next few weeks, Ellie transformed the site from disaster to masterpiece. Daniel gave her full creative freedom, trusting her judgment, praising her eye for color and emotion. Each afternoon, Jacob and Lily played in the back office with puzzles and toy tools, their laughter filling every corner of the garage. Something bloomed, something dangerous. Warmth, connection. The kind of feelings Ellie had taught herself to suppress, convinced that love was no longer hers to claim. But Daniel didn't just see her. He heard her silence. He read her pauses. He understood the tremor in her voice when she talked about being abandoned in the hospital recovery room. He never asked too much, never tried to fix her. He simply stayed. One night, after everyone else had gone, Ellie lingered at the desk, finishing up a final graphic banner for the homepage. Daniel walked in, coffee in hand. "Want to see the spark plug trick again?" She smiled. "Only if it involves fire." He raised an eyebrow. "You're finally growing a dark side." She looked up at him, lips parting, but the words didn't come. Instead, she whispered, "You walked in on my worst day and made it mean something." He set the coffee down slowly, then said the words that cracked something inside her wide open. "Maybe we both walked into something we needed." By the end of the second month, the site was live, clients were calling, and Daniel's garage was thriving in ways no one expected, not even him. Ellie had gone from cautiously contributing from the sidelines to becoming the heart of the brand. Her designs told stories of grit, of redemption, of engines and people that didn't give up. But with each late-night email and each casual coffee break, something else grew. Unspoken, unacknowledged, but undeniably present. One Friday, as they closed up shop, Ellie sat in the break room with Lily curled up asleep in her lap. Jacob sat on the floor beside her, building Lego towers with spare bolts from the garage floor. Daniel stood in the doorway, watching quietly. "She's comfortable with you," he said softly. Ellie nodded. "She trusts me." "I do too." She looked up. "Why?" Daniel stepped inside, leaning against the counter. "Because you show up. No matter how hard the day, you laugh when you're hurting. You help when no one's helped you." She tried to respond, but her throat tightened. Instead, she asked, "Can I tell you something?" "Anything." She shifted Lily gently onto the couch before wheeling closer, her voice low. "There was a moment about 8 months ago when I almost gave up. Not on life, not exactly. but on ever feeling again. I'd stare at the wall for hours. I stopped drawing. I stopped eating. Everything hurt, even being awake. Daniel's jaw flexed, but he didn't interrupt. I thought I was broken, she said, eyes wet. But the worst part was, I believed I deserved it, that I was just someone people left. Daniel crouched down, so their eyes met. Don't say that. It's true. No, Ellie. You're not someone people leave. You're someone people don't deserve. And that scares them. But not me. I see you. All of you. And if I have to fight through every wall you've built to remind you of your worth, I will. She gasped, but no tears came. Just breathe. Just relief. Because someone had finally said the words she'd begged the universe to say, you're not broken. The next day, Ellie didn't come in. Daniel called. No answer. He texted. Nothing. By mid-afternoon, he drove to her apartment. Her car was there. Her curtains were drawn. The hallway smelled faintly of lavender. He knocked, waited, knocked again. Ellie, he called softly. Jacob? Still nothing. The cold pit bloomed in his stomach. Then, just as he raised his fist again, click. The door creaked open. Jacob stood there, hair messy, eyes red. She's not getting out of bed. Daniel stepped inside carefully. Ellie's room was dark, curtains pulled tight. The chair sat near the bed, empty. She lay curled beneath the covers, face turned toward the wall. Ellie, he said gently. She didn't move. Daniel knelt by the bed. Is it one of those days? Her lips moved, barely. It's the anniversary, she whispered. Of the accident. Daniel's throat tightened. Ellie. She turned slowly, finally facing him. I had plans that day. Jacob's field trip, I was late, rushing. He cried because I forgot his backpack. I snapped at him. Then I looked back at the road and it was too late. Daniel reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. Guilt's a cruel liar, he said. It tells you that your worst moment defines you. But it doesn't. She closed her eyes. I relive it every year. The sound, the silence after. I wasn't supposed to make it out. But you did, he said. And you raised a kind, brilliant boy who never stopped smiling. You showed up for him, and now you're showing up for others too. She looked at him, truly looked at him, and saw no pity, only presence. You're not alone anymore, Ellie, he whispered. You never have to be. That night, for the first time in years, Ellie slept without nightmares. Because the past didn't own her anymore. Someone had reached into her darkness and stayed. Weeks passed. The garage hummed with new life. Clients came not just for repairs, but for community, for something real. The brand Ellie built became a beacon. Her designs featured not flashy ads, but stories of single parents, of survivors, of second chances. The homepage tagline read, "We don't just fix cars, we rebuild people." Daniel called it cheesy. Ellie called it the truth. One afternoon, the mayor's office reached out. The city wanted to feature the garage in a local business spotlight campaign. They asked for a quote from the owner. Daniel laughed. That's all you? But she shook her head. Number, it's your garage. He looked at her then, with a softness that made her chest ache. Number, it's our garage now. That Friday evening, they threw a small block party in the back lot. String lights swayed above picnic tables. Kids played tag between toolboxes. Daniel grilled burgers, while Ellie wheeled between guests, making sure everyone had food and smiles. Jacob and Lily ran around in superhero capes, giggling like they owned the world. At one point, Ellie pulled away to breathe. The laughter, the music, the motion. It overwhelmed her, in the best way. But still, she wheeled to the side, behind the garage, heart racing. She felt a hand on her shoulder. Daniel, you okay? She smiled, breath shaky. Yeah, just feeling everything all at once. That's not always a bad thing. I'm not used to this. To what? Being chosen, she whispered. Not out of pity, but out of love. Daniel knelt, cupping her face. Ellie, I didn't fall for you because I had to. I fell because you're the strongest person I've ever met. Because when you laugh, it lights up places in me I didn't know were dark. Because your son makes my daughter smile in a way I can't. And because when I walk into a room and see you, I don't feel lost anymore. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But I'm broken, she whispered. He kissed her forehead gently. No, Ellie. You're brave. A month later, Daniel surprised her with a quiet backyard wedding. Only a few friends, their kids, the garage crew. As she rolled down the short aisle between folding chairs, Jacob clapped so hard his palms turned red. Lily dropped petals from a bucket and shouted, "Mommy number 2." Ellie cried through her vows. So did Daniel. And when they kissed, everything that once felt unreachable felt real. That night, as they tucked the kids into their shared room, Jacob whispered, "This was the best day ever." Lily yawned. Yeah, even better than cake day. Ellie and Daniel stood in the doorway, arms wrapped around each other, hearts steady. And for the first time in her life, Ellie didn't feel like a burden. She felt like a blessing, because she had learned something no accident, no heartbreak, no abandonment could take away. Being paralyzed didn't make her powerless. Being alone didn't make her unlovable. And all it took to remind her was one moment, one voice. Can we join you?